Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be looking over the new S-Class toon, Storm. Now, Storm is pretty unique. He does have a beheading specialist skill, which is a combination of decapitation as well as execution. This is a skill that the Red Axle also has, but Storm being an S-Class toon is obviously more powerful than that. Storm is a heavy damage dealer, and what I like about him is that he really puts characters down into the ground. At 76 AP, it's a little slow compared to some of the more recent S-Class toons, but he does deal 1000% damage to one enemy, and all enemies that are adjacent get confused for 2 turns. So the 1000% damage is very similar to Princess, who applies 1000% damage to a line. I kind of like the idea of being able to apply damage to a single toon and really just killing them and knowing that they're not coming back. Especially because we're kind of expecting a camo lead to come out eventually who will prevent you from doing area damage, so any type of splash damage with a toon. So in the instance of Princess, for example, she would only be able to apply damage to one toon anyway, even though her rush should apply damage to all in a line. Storm's active skill is a turn 2 active skill, defense down, focus, and AP gain. I like that the enemy can get minus 75% defense for 2 turns. It kind of sets up for kills really nicely. This character gets focus for 2 turns, which is extremely valuable, as we've talked about before. And they also gain 50% AP, which could be a problem against toons like Angel, who can exhaust you, and because just Storm does not have a huge amount of HP, so 500 exhaust and 50% AP increase, that would be like 5 times 500, so 2500 maim damage, which is quite a bit of Storm's HP, and this is Storm with veteran rings maxed out, so on the first turn of a match you might want to focus on killing an Angel on the defensive team first, just to ensure that you don't sustain too much damage and Storm dies before he can actually perform like some killing attacks. Overall, from what I've seen so far, I think Storm is a very powerful character. He does have a bound weapon, so 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and then when killing an enemy, this character regains up to 50% of their max HP. This is actually a pretty decent weapon, because with infection being around a lot, so if you see the traitor, or if you see Mateo on defense, for example, Dayu, etc., whenever he makes a kill, he's regaining HP, which would recover him from basically, well, a majority of the infections. At least with Mateo and the traitor. With Dayu and Minerva, for example, you would need to kill multiple enemies for this weapon to be really effective at recovering from infection. Personally, I don't see Storm as being a game-changing toon. I do think he's a very good toon and could help out with damage dealing as well as making sure that dead characters stay dead, but I just don't feel like he would greatly enhance anyone's gameplay to the point of someone improving like 5% of their attacks by being 5% more effective type of thing. So winning 5% more of the time. This is a team that I kind of created that is more of a free-to-play team. I did include Princess because I feel like most people would have a Princess by now, or at least should be working towards one, but I tried to use a lot of free-to-play characters just to show how effective Storm can actually be. He was able to take out the defensive Princess with a basic attack, which shows how powerful his attacks are, and he was able to take down Mercer as well. So his attacking power is great. It's super high. I did upgrade his weapon so that he does have plus 45% attack, and by comboing him with my Ivanova, he is getting a plus 25% attack boost, and by using his active skill, I can apply a minus 75% defense debuff. So that type of debuff would be great on a toon like Rosita, who has Bide. So by decreasing her defense, I'm able to take her out in one attack, meaning I won't trigger her Bide. Bide toons are only triggered if you apply at least 2000 damage to them, cumulative damage at that, and you do not successfully kill them on that attack. Now, I would love to see how powerful Storm can actually be, say if we get a proper attack buff on this team, so like even someone like Alice who does plus 75% attack, or my Green Glen who can give plus 65% attack and defense. I think Storm is just very effective at killing defensive teams and toons, especially with so many people still running blue toons on defense. If someone's using like a Mercer lead, for example, they're not getting the HP and defense buff from a defensive lead like Aaron here. So I think Storm will be really effective, but I don't think that he's game changing for anyone. He's the type of toon that I would say is fun to use, and he looks pretty cool. He looks like a Jesus, to be honest, but a more hardcore, like in a heavy metal rocker band type of thing. As you've seen in this particular match, it's been very difficult to have Storm get the killing blow. I only have one toon that is decapitated, and he's just not effective against these very tanky defensive teams. I think he could be when his rush and his active skill are combined together, but because his active skill is a turn 2 active skill, and ideally you would want to rush him either on turn 2 or turn 3, I guess, his active skill just kind of delays everything a little bit. You're almost forced to run him with Dr. Stevens to be effective. Now in this match, when he's against the Trader as well as Mateo with the Wangfa, we can see how his weapon really helps out, as well as the other fast healing weapons help out on this attack team. We're able to recover from the low infection rate, but we do need a bit of control in order to make sure Wangfa doesn't apply 100% heal reduction, since we have two defensive characters that can definitely cause a lot of problems if they end up infecting your team and you can't heal from it. We were able to see how behind a Mercer lead, you can take out a maxed out Trader pretty easily using Storm, but that is after we have a plus 25% attack boost, a minus 75% defense debuff, and rushing Storm at 1000% damage. This type of attack team is just a pretty long and lengthy battle, and I just don't find it effective enough to use in matches if you're expecting to use it in war, for example, and you want to get off some quick kills. Storm is more of a novelty toon who I would enjoy to have for the sake of having him and being able to show off how much damage he can actually do, but I think he's a little underwhelming based on what the current meta is. Now, one area where it would be kind of interesting to see Storm might be actually on a defensive team, and I'm kind of just saying that out loud. I'm not going to show you guys that yet, but potentially behind, say, an Aaron defensive lead, he could be a great damage dealer just because he's able to apply such a high amount of damage to a single enemy. He can't normalize the enemy, which could be a problem, and his active skill, being a turn 2 active skill, still means, he could end up stunned, confused, taunted at the start. If he was able to use his active skill on the first turn, I think he would be a more effective toon to use, but because he's a turn late from that, it just becomes difficult to kind of validate his use on a defensive team. I think regarding his weapon, by regaining 50% of his HP on a kill, it would have been more interesting to see if, say, on a critical attack, he regained 15% of his HP, because that way he would almost be a direct counter to Mateo as well as the Trader, who apply 15% infection. If he was able to recover that HP every turn, you could think about adding a crit expert craft onto his weapon so that every single attack is a critical hit. And although he doesn't do, multiple basic attacks on his rush, it could be an effective counter, but also a slow counter, so that people still would have use out of their Trader and out of their Mateo with their Wangfa combination. It just seems like it would be a more balanced toon to me. By forcing him to take that kill, to take that killing blow, he either needs to execute the enemy where they're under 20% of their max HP, so it's an automatic kill and decapitation, or he ends up having to rush the enemy to apply that 1000% damage. And I would still say use that active skill, the minus 75% defense. It's almost necessary to make him effective. It's similar to Princess in ways, except Princess buffs her own attack, where she has Berserker as well as on her weapon she has the chance to get some extra attack power, while Storm focuses on weakening the defense. And I guess to kind of sum up this video and show a little more gameplay of Storm, I'm going to show him on another offensive team, but a more pay-to-play offensive team, where I'm using him with the green Clementine lead for the minus 25% defense debuff, plus 25% attack buff off a lead skill, I'm using Rick as my commander. I have AJ in for his normalize ability as well because I think every single attack team needs a normalizer just because there are payback toons, bide toons, human shields. There's, of course, the traitor. There's just so many different characters that need to be normalized in order to kill them fast. So the damage that Storm does is very impressive, but in this day and age of a game, you need to be able to kill multiple characters at the same time to prove the team is effective. So I just don't see him as to be game changing enough that you have to pull on him. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to bring you guys some more film on some of the newer characters really soon.